I'm Kelly Brine. I'm the president of Rose Valley Management, a vertically integrated property management and acquisition company. You're in the prop tech space because you can't be in real estate without being in the prop tech space anymore. I'm really excited that prop tech got to come this year. I was told that this is the 10-year anniversary of the AI Summit, and that they've never had anyone in prop tech here before. We still have a long way to go when it comes to real estate being close to where technology is in other fields, but I think every time we integrate in spaces like this, it really helps push them up. Innovation in real estate is something that has been very slow to happen. I've been in real estate property management for 30 years, and we have had more growth in innovation and technology in the past 5 years than in the 25 years previous, I would say. I think COVID really pushed and shoved real estate into that space because it's a high-touch industry. Usually we weren't as technologically advanced, but because COVID made everyone not want to touch anything, that's how we really ended up getting more involved, because people wouldn't come down and speak to people in the office. They wanted to do everything via computers or touring apartments. No one wanted to actually physically go there. They wanted to do it online. So I think innovation has really changed the industry overall. It's been a struggle point, I think, for some of the on-site teams. But it's also brought us to conferences like this where we've never been invited before. I think that's something that's really exciting. It's really bridging the gap between technology and real estate. I think overall, like smart homes, everyone's interested in locks that you can unlock the lock with your phones, versus having to carry keys. They're clunky, they kind of get everywhere. I would say, they're interested in automating different technologies where you can pay everything online, you can pay everything touchless. Other ways is with maintenance, having like leak detection, boiler detection. And when it comes to smart homes in the multifamily space, it's a little bit different than single family homes because the user would be more interested in it from a single family home point of view, but multifamily owners are really interested in being able to control the heat. If someone just turns up the heat really high and leaves their window open, for example, you could actually bring that temperature back down to a normal level where it's not using too much energy output and money for the buildings. There's also like a barrier to the new technologies that have rolled out are different government regulations. And everyone knows about the RealPage lawsuit with antitrust, where ARM and different revenue management, where instead of just scraping the internet, they were using other people's data to be able to recommend best pricing. Right now, because technology has not infiltrated our industry as much as other industries, I feel like the government regulations haven't really caught up to where the technology is. So the technology goes further, and then all of a sudden there's a rule in place, and all these people that purchase revenue management kind of have to figure out a different solution. So there's other companies that have come out and just scrape public data, and I think that's really the where the ruling came down to. It's like, you can do this, but it has to be public information. It can't be any kind of insider information that you had just because these people are your clients. Real estate markets are always changing, and there are shifts, whether it be a downturn in the market. Anything that happens to the market also obviously trickles and affects real estate. For example, because the interest rates were so high, people were not buying apartments, and usually people would rent apartments for 2 or 3 years, then they would buy their first home. Now, because interest rates were high, that had changed the market for renters, and renters ended up staying longer. Because they ended up staying longer, they were often had different expectations because they weren't the entry-level renter who had their entry-level job anymore. They were a young professional. They were paying more money in rent, and they had higher expectations for what they expect from the property managers, from the buildings. The management companies have to be able to adapt to be able to fulfill those expectations. Real estate and technology is a really interesting intersection. Currently, there are a ton of prop tech companies out there. I recently received a list of 1,000 different prop tech companies. It's a very saturated field. There's a lot of noise, and trying to find the ones that fit best is hard to do. One of the things I haven't seen is it transferring over more into the maintenance side. The way that technology and AI is transferring into the maintenance side is really, like I said, through leak detection, boiler detection, and preventative maintenance, but we haven't seen it actually be able to do any of the physicality of the work. And because real estate is such a high-touch industry, that's something that's really lacking because they still can't plunge a toilet. You know, they still can't. They can tell us when a pipe might burst, but when the pipe actually bursts, who's going to fix it? So I'm looking forward to something new coming so there will be a fix for those things.